I know that many of us are getting distracted by the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, but we can't forget we are currently living in a nightmare dystopia. I have not one story about COVID lockdowns, vaccination. I've got several, and I don't even know which one to choose from. How about we'll just run through them right away so we keep you all interested? First, Austria orders lockdown for unvaccinated amid COVID surge. That's right. If you're not vaccinated, you have a stay-at-home order depending on the capacity of certain hospitals. We all saw this coming, right? How about this one from Bloomberg? It may turn out that the term booster is a bit of a misnomer, and the correct number of shots for maximum efficacy isn't yet known. Okay, how about this one? COVID test firm to sell swabs carrying customers' DNA. Ah, my friends, here we are. The nightmare dystopia is upon us. So let me just explain. In Austria, admittedly not the United States, you can't go outside if you're not vaccinated. And what does not vaccinated mean? Well, maybe you've gotten one shot. Maybe you've gotten 2, 3, 4. Who knows? Bloomberg says we actually don't know. And, ladies and gentlemen, the final cherry on top to bring this all home. From Mark D. Levine in New York City. The New York City Health Department authorizes COVID booster shots for all New Yorkers aged 18 plus, as long as it is at least 6 months since their second Pfizer or Moderna dose and 2 months since Johnson & Johnson. This is a welcome move at a time when cases are rising in New York City. Here we are. Now, I don't know if the United States will end up with an Austria-style unvaccinated lockdown, but in the event that we do, let me just assure you, booster shots for all. When they first announced it, actually, shout out to Dave Rubin, when he tweeted, booster shots are coming, Twitter suspended him. And now where are we? Well, we quickly then entered the phase where they said, we just need booster shots for those that are immunocompromised. Now we're at the point where they're saying everyone in New York, the NBA already mandated this. Now, I like vaccines. I really do. A lot of people aren't fans for whatever reason. That's fine. I don't have anything to do with your medical history. I actually really think I've read a lot about mRNA. I say this often, but it bears repeating in this context because we need to get to the core of what the problem is. And everybody, whether you like me or don't like me, need to understand what this is all about. mRNA technology, what we use for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, brilliant. It's actually quite incredible. It can be amplified to crazy degrees. It could maybe cure tons of other diseases, maybe cancer, who knows? That being said, mandating someone undergo a permanent medical procedure, wrong. I will never support that. If you want to go to the doctor, you have a conversation with him, I suggest you take your advice from your doctor. The funny thing is, let me tell you guys this before we get into all this, because I'll tell you what really grinds my gears. When I got sick with COVID a couple weeks ago, the first thing I got was monoclonal antibodies, an approved emergency use authorization treatment, which I have long touted. Well, but I'm not going to tell you what to get. You got to talk to your doctor. But I've said, hey, look at this. It's what Trump got, right? I also got NAD, which is, I don't know how you describe it. It's cellular regenerative therapy or whatever, and a vitamin hydration IV. Because they were like, we got to get your fluids up. I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking. I was really in bad shape. I got better almost instantly, and it was just the monoclonal antibodies. Now, the doctor prescribed me azithromycin and ivermectin, and I literally said, I don't want it. But the doctor said to me, and I even said, I was like, look, I don't want that stuff. I already feel better. Do I really need to take it? Because I'm feeling good. And they said, look, we don't want this thing coming back. Just take what you are being prescribed. And my attitude is, I'm not going to argue with the doctor. I'm not going to. They gave me a treatment. I was feeling better. They told me what to take. I said, fine. Now you go talk to your doctor. You figure it out for yourself. What we can't have, we have no explanation, no understanding as to when we are fully vaccinated because it keeps changing. There's a viral meme of CNN articles where it's like one shot of COVID or Moderna will give you, strong protection. Then it comes out later. It's like you'll need the full doses. Then it comes out later like efficacy is waning. Then it comes and it's showing you all these CNN articles and it's like, now you need booster shots for the immunocompromised. Now booster shots for everybody. Maybe a third, maybe a fourth. For the immunocompromised, we're already on 4 shots. They're already saying now after your 6 months, you can get another booster. The NBA has mandated. So Kyrie Irving was right. Because it's not going to be just get your vaccine and we're all good and we're all back to normal. It's going to be actually, maybe we got to keep doing this. At a certain point, we have to accept that we're in bad shape. COVID is a really bad thing, and we're going to have to accept that it's here and try and figure it out to the best of our abilities. That means if you want to get your boosters and you go to the doctor, hey man, that's all on you. That's what you can do, and you got to do what's right by you. And I don't think anybody should kick you out of a restaurant or bar you from leaving your home because you've talked to your doctor and your doctor's given you private medical advice. This is what's happening in Austria. Take a look at this. They say Austria orders lockdown for unvaccinated amid COVID surge. And can I just stress again, they're selling people's DNA? Anyway, I digress. NBC News reports Austria took what its leaders called the dramatic step Monday of implementing a nationwide lockdown for unvaccinated people who haven't recently had COVID-19. Perhaps the most drastic of a string of measures being taken by European governments to get a massive regional resurgence of the virus under control. The move, which took effect at midnight, prohibits people 12 and older who haven't been vaccinated or recently recovered from leaving their homes, except for basic activities such as working, grocery shopping, going to school or university, or for a walk, or getting vaccinated. The lockdown is initially being imposed until November 24th in the Alpine country of 8.9 million. It doesn't apply to children under 12 because they cannot yet officially get vaccinated. Though the capital, Vienna, on Monday opened up vaccinations for under 12s as part of a pilot project and reported high demand. Officials say police patrols and checks will be stepped up, and unvaccinated people can be fined up to €1,450 if they violate the lockdown. Quote, "We really didn't take the step lightly, and I don't think it should be talked down," Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg told OL Radio. "This is a dramatic step. About 2 million people in this country are effective. What we are trying is precisely to reduce contact between the unvaccinated and vaccinated to a minimum, and also contact between the unvaccinated." Quote, "My aim is very clearly to get the unvaccinated to get themselves vaccinated and not to lock down the vaccinated," Schallenberg added. "In the long term, the way out of this vicious circle we are in, and it is a vicious circle, we are stumbling from wave to lockdown, and that can't carry on ad infinitum. It's only vaccination." Well, look, this guy's not a doctor. He's a government official. Maybe he's not wrong. I don't know for sure. What I can say is there are fundamental human rights at question. And whether or not they want to get control of this, and as someone who's had COVID, and I had it really bad, it was the worst experience, worst illness I've ever had. I fully understand this. But I believe that what happened to me doesn't happen to everybody. And I witnessed that. When we got sick, I got really, really sick. And so, I've had people say to me, like, maybe you should have gotten vaccinated and you wouldn't have gotten as sick, as so they say. Well, I got really sick. I got a treatment that seems to have worked for me. There are free clinics that provide this, free, in many different states. I'm pretty sure Maryland and, has them. Florida famously has them. But many of the people who got sick, sniffles. Not kidding. Some people got moderately sick and they're like, this sucks. I'm going to go just chill out for the next few days. Some people were like, I guess I'm testing positive, but I've just been sniffling. And for me, I was like in agony, absolute agony. So what I say is, when I experience that and it's bad, some people don't. So it's to me, it's remarkable that we're at a point where we're saying some people, will get sunburns and some people won't. I don't get sunburns. Let me tell you this. I don't get sunburned. For whatever reason, I don't know. I just get tan. I get darker, right? Look, I got a farmer's tan. So should sunscreen be made mandatory for everybody? I understand it's not a contagious disease. I understand sunburn is common. My point is, some people don't get sunburned. Some people do. We shouldn't mandate treatment for everybody based on what some people might experience. You go to your doctor. Your doctor might say you are at high risk. Then you make a decision. The government getting involved, in my opinion, is wrong. The leader of the far right Opposition Freedom Party vowed to combat the new restrictions by all parliamentary and legal means we have available. 2 million people are being practically imprisoned without having done anything wrong. On Monday, Kickle announced on Facebook that he had tested positive for COVID-19 and must self-isolate for 14 days, so he won't be able to attend a protest in Vienna planned for Saturday. Authorities are concerned about rising infections, and we get it from here. Now, here's the problem. Okay, what does it mean to be fully vaccinated? Bloomberg tweeted, "It may turn out the term booster is a bit of a misnomer, and the correct number of shots is not known." From Bloomberg, how long will boosters last? They say, the lowdown on booster shots. How long will they last? Boosters are a hot topic right now. And our inbox is full of questions about them, especially this one. How long will they last? Before we answer that, we should clarify who in the U.S. is currently recommended to get them. You're 18 and older and received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine more than 2 months ago. You received Pfizer or Moderna and are over 65, and you've received either Pfizer or Moderna shot, you're 18 or older, and have an underlying medical condition, live in a long-term care facility, or work in high-risk settings. And let me just add for Bloomberg, who may have missed the important detail, you live in New York City, are over the age of 18, and it's been at least 6 months since you got your second Moderna or Pfizer, or 2 months since Johnson & Johnson. The CDC has already said they may change the definition of fully vaccinated. They go on to say, quote, some of us need boosters for 2 reasons. The first is that the protection against mild and moderate illness provided by the initial vaccination appears to wane over time, especially among older individuals. I have a question for any doctors or any scientists who might know. So you get 2 shots and you get protection against mild and moderate illnesses. First, my question is for Bloomberg. What does protection mean? Now, I mean this legitimately. I'm not playing stupid games. I don't know what they mean by protection because I know that they say you're substantially less likely to get this if you're vaccinated. And if you do, it is substantially less serious. That actually makes a ton of sense to me, assuming it's true. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. But we know that viral load plays a role in like how sick you get. And I think this might make sense for me. Some people got mildly sick. Then once everybody was mildly sick, I come into contact with a larger viral load. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make sense. The point is, if you're vaccinated, then by the time your body has a reaction to the virus, there's a lot less of it. So your body just knocks it out. That all makes a ton of sense to me. But I don't know what they mean by protection because we're talking about semantic arguments. Do you mean the likelihood of infection or the reduction in symptoms? Or do you mean both? Bloomberg, please clarify. They say, quote, the second reason is that the Delta variant is more infectious. This means everyone, even vaccinated people, is more likely to get exposed to an infectious dose of the virus and have it challenge their immune system. The booster helps your immune system mount an effective response. My assumption, as I just stated, is that I feel like when I got COVID, it was like nothing and then instantly something big. And I think it's because COVID is in your system for a while without an immune response. It's just my opinion. I don't know for sure. That's why viral load plays a role. Seems to me that if you're vaccinated, then your body already is triggered to attack the virus as soon as it encounters it, which is probably why the symptoms are less severe, which basically is kind of what they're saying. The issue for me, however, is that, well, it's all about mandates. Look, I know a lot of people are like, the vaccine was supposed to be, they say Johnson & Johnson was one and done, and now it's 2 months later, booster shot, and yada, yada. Hey, we talk about this all the time with antibiotics. Antibiotics are becoming less effective. There are super bugs that just are combating the antibiotics. Now they got to do different ones. You talk to your doctor and you choose. That is my position. You can tell me I'm wrong about my policy. You can tell me I'm wrong about how I feel about vaccines. And I'm going to say, oh, yeah? Well, it's going to be up to you to figure out how you live your life and go to your doctor and, whatever. I'm not here to give you advice on that stuff. They say some states such as California and Colorado have opened up booster shots to all adults who are at least 6 months past their second mRNA dose. Wow, the entire state? I didn't realize that. It may turn out the term booster is a bit of a misnomer. The correct number of shots for maximum efficacy isn't yet known, and maybe it will never be. Maybe the vaccine lasts for a certain amount of time and then goes away. Hey, get this. I got the Regeneron therapy, and they say it lasts 8 months, giving you like 82% protection against the virus towards immunity. Because I want to clarify, right? If that's the case, what's the difference between the Regeneron therapy and a vaccine? Seriously. So do I count as vaccinated now? When it comes to COVID? Because I got Regeneron? I'll tell you this, though. They told me within a certain amount of time, if you get vaccinated, you have to wait, I think, 90 days before you can get the Regeneron therapy. And if you get the Regeneron therapy, you got to wait 90 days before you can get the vaccine. That's what I was told. But again, you got to talk to your doctor. I don't know. My question, though, is if the definition of a vaccine is something that triggers an immune response that provides partial immunity or protection to an illness, monoclonal antibodies would be a vaccine, wouldn't they? I'm not saying, I'm asking. I don't know. They say, now on to the question of how long boosters will last. This is Bloomberg. It's possible, says Justman, that the months-long gap between initial doses of the vaccine and boosters will help the immune system maintain a strong response for a much longer period than the initial regimen did. But we need more data to have any sort of definitive answer. I'll stress this too. And then we'll move on from here. I got the yellow fever vaccine. The first shot, they say, protects you for 6 months. Then you got to come back in a month and get a second booster, and you get 10 years of protection. So the idea that you need boosters is not a new thing. I'm just saying, I'll make sure that's clear. Let's talk about an invasion of our rights, because this is the nightmare dystopia. You got to understand. The Telegraph reports a leading COVID-19 testing firm is planning to sell swabs containing customers' DNA, prompting an investigation by the UK's data privacy watchdog. Signpost, however you pronounce it, Diagnostics, a government-approved supplier trading as Express Test, said it will analyze samples to sell the information to third parties, company documents have revealed. The company claimed it will also use the medical data to learn more about human health and develop new drugs and products, the Sunday Times reported. Explicit informed consent. Customers booking tests through the Express Test website were not clearly told their data, their DNA, would be used for purposes beyond COVID-19 testing. Instead, they were reportedly asked to tick a box agreeing to a 4,876 word privacy policy, which links to another document outlining its research program. Typically, analysis of sensitive medical information can only be carried out with explicit informed consent. Signpost Diagnostics, which has 71 walk-in locations across the UK, is reported to have delivered up to 3 million tests since June last year. The company charges between £35 and $120 for a PCR test and is estimated to have generated tens of millions of pounds from test fees alone. Its, quote, research program information sheet, last updated on October 21st, says the company retains data including biological samples and the DNA obtained from such samples, as well as genetic information derived from processing your DNA sample using various technologies such as genotyping and whole or partial genome sequencing. Did you know that you were giving up your DNA when they were swabbing your nose? This is weird, okay? A lot of people assumed it. A lot of people said they're taking your DNA. I don't know. What I know is they swab, they say they put it in the test, they want to see if there's a virus or whatever. But now this company says they've partially mapped your genome sequence or fully, and they're going to sell your DNA. I wonder what they could do with it. I mean, I'll be completely honest. I don't know. There's interesting things we can do with DNA databases. Willful participation, I think, is one of the most incredible things in the world. If people are willing to share their genetic sequence with a company that's doing research because they're fine with it, I believe that's fantastic and a good thing. Because we'll get to the core of this. Freedom, privacy, individual rights. Think about the amazing things we'll discover by mapping the human genome, every person. We can look at everybody who's got some, a genetic disorder and then find out exactly where. It's really simple. You put up 1 million people's genetic samples and 1 million people with, say, a genetic disease, and you all see the same genetic sequence, the same pattern. You go, we think we figured it out. That's cool. What's not cool is someone saying, please tell me if I'm sick. And then them going, by the way, now that we have your DNA, we're going to sell it to someone to do research against your will. Your DNA is you, man. That's your code. You've always got to have informed consent. The consent of the governed, the consent of the participants must be. Coercion, not legitimate. But this is what we're getting now. Is it the will of the people that if you're not vaccinated, you can't leave your home? No. It's manipulation and it's coercion. I think the vaccines are a good thing, but I ultimately think people can choose to get or not get them depending on their medical advice. And I don't think the government should mandate it because no one's voting on these mandates. That's the important factor here. You can argue that many of these like leftists and progressives voted for the mandates by bringing in Democrats they know will implement them. I don't think it's fair to say right now 100% across the board. I know that Joe Biden said there won't be mandates. People voted for that. People supported this guy and he said, I don't think we're going to need a mandate. Well, I think he said that after he got elected. But people genuinely believed that Biden and the Democrats wouldn't implement it, and then they did. And now we look at what happened in Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey with these elections where Republicans swept across the board. I think people are now saying, we don't vote for this. We vote against this. Let me tell you, my friends, COVID was really bad. It was a miserable experience. It freaked me out. I was genuinely worried for my health. I think it's important that people understand that because I think there's a lot of people who downplay the severity of COVID. Not everybody got as sick as I did, but boy, did I get it bad. So I think you should take it seriously. And I think ultimately it's your choice to be made. If you want to take that risk, that's on you. You want to go bungee jumping, that's on you. Sometimes they measure the bungee cord wrong and, you know what I mean? You want to go skydiving, sometimes people have accidents. You want to ride a motorcycle? Yeah, it's something like a quarter of all people who ride motorcycles get injured or like get hit or something. I mean, it's serious stuff. But you know what? We still allow it. We still let people take these risks, play sports. What are we supposed to be? Like an episode of Black Mirror, we're all living in cubicles where the whole wall is a screen and we watch TV where our digital avatar is in the audience for us? Or The Matrix, we just plug into a VR world where we're safe forever and can never be harmed? Or do we recognize that, I don't know, sometimes you fall down the stairs and you'll break your ankle? We don't ban stairs. Everybody must use elevators from now on because they're safer. No. The reality is we take risks every day. What risks are we willing to accept? I had a good conversation with Ian on Timcast IRL when he mentioned airborne Ebola and said, you know, so what? If it's a more serious disease, your rights be damned, but because you're not scared of this one, you don't have to worry about it? You know what? Yes. Tripping and falling down the stairs happens. Please don't trip. But we don't ban stairs because, well, you know, we live with these risks. COVID is a risk as well, and I think it's really bad, and I think it's really scary. But is this something we can say, look, we might ban, you know, climbing an inverted ladder for businesses, like that's not a reasonable way for people to get a second floor, and we might say it's a violation of building code. Okay, that's an unreasonable risk. But stairs, not an unreasonable risk, even though people fall downstairs. You get the point? Airborne Ebola, substantial risk. COVID, it's a risk, but it's not airborne Ebola. It's all about tolerance. And I think the main issue is that we as a society are losing our tolerance for risk and we're becoming weaker. We'll see how that plays out in the long run. For the time being, it means the nightmare dystopia is expanding and it's going to affect all of us and it's only going to get worse. Unless in the midterms we get America First types like, and I don't mean to say that like isolationist. So I probably don't feel the same way as a lot of other people when it comes to like America First. I just mean like, yo, we should definitely have international relations, international trade, and we should make sure America is fixing its water, like Flint, that whole crisis. That's what it means to me. We got to get rid of the establishment, the neocons, the Democrats, and bring in, I don't care what the party's called, primary these people, Democrat or Republican, and bring about real change. I'll leave it there. The Rittenhouse trial is underway, and we got major news. The gun charge was dismissed, but I got that segment coming up for you at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.